A new company on the market called Extropic is making chips that are apparently 10,000 times more efficient than NVIDIA chips. And this is all thanks to their new thermal computing. Let's talk about it. This is the idea of thermodynamic computing. I know it's a mouthful, but the idea is pretty simple. Everything in the universe has a little bit of shake to it, a little bit of wobble. It's called thermal noise. It's the reason things have temperature. In old school computers, this noise is the enemy. We spent billions of dollars and a ton of energy trying to get rid of it to make sure our ones are perfectly one and our zeros are perfectly zero. We build our accountant a soundproof office so he can concentrate. Extropic's idea was, what if the noise is the answer? What if the wobble, the shake, the randomness is a tool? And what if we let the Zen master control the wind? To do this, they had to invent a new kind of computer part. Not a bit, but a p-bit, a probabilistic bit. Think of it like this. A normal bit is the light switch. It's either on or off. It's either 1 or 0 and that is it. A p-bit is not a light switch. A p-bit is a magical coin. You can tell this coin, hey, I'm going to flip you and I want you to come up heads 70% of the time and tails 30% of the time. The coin just does it. It's not a trick. It's built into the coin itself. It's a weighted coin, but you can change the weighing instantly just by asking. 1 second, it's a 7030 coin, and the next minute you can ask it to be 50/50ths or 991. Now, how does a GPU, our accountant, pretend to be a magic coin? Well, it has to do a ton of work. It has to run a complex math problem to generate a random number. Then, it checks if that number is in the 70% range, and then it outputs either a 1 or a 0. It's essentially faking it. It's calculating randomness, and that costs energy. Now, Extropic's pit doesn't calculate, it just is. It uses the natural, shaky, wobbly noise of the universe to be random. It flips itself millions of times a second, and the energy it uses to do this is almost like a whisper. This was the breakthrough, a tiny circuit made of normal computer stuff that could act like a programmable magic coin. But one magic coin is just a party trick. What happens when you get thousands of them, millions of them? What happens when you get them to talk to each other? That's when the real magic starts. That's when you build a Thermodynamic Sampling Unit, a TSU. This is the Zen master's brain. So, for a few years, this was all just kind of theory. It was a wild idea from a dozen of people in the garage. They built their little p-bits, they tested them, and they knew they were onto something. Then came October 2025. Last month, they dropped a bomb. They published their research and they showed the world what they had been building, and they made a bold claim. A claim so big that most people thought it had to be a typo. The claim was this: their computer could do the work of a top-of-the-line AI computer using 10,000 times less energy. 10,000 times. Let's just stop and think about that number. It's even hard to get your head around. If your phone battery lasts for 1 day, 10,000 times longer would be 27 years. If your monthly electricity bill was $100, 10,000 times less would be 1 penny. If a cross-country flight took 5 hours, 10,000 times would be less than 2 seconds. This is not a small improvement. This is not a 10% better chip. This is a different universe. It's a difference between a horse and a spaceship. It's a number that could solve the AI energy crisis, not just help solve it overnight. So, how did they do it? What was this test? They decided to teach their computer to do what AI is famous for, making pictures. They created a new kind of AI program to go with their new kind of chip, and they called it Denoising Thermodynamic Model, or DTM. Here's another analogy because I want to make this super simple. You know those old TVs when the channel wasn't tuned in right and all you could see was static? A mess of random black and white dots. That's noise. Now, imagine that hidden inside that static. There's a picture, a real picture. And your job is to get rid of the static so the picture can emerge. You'd probably start by looking for patterns. You'd say, well, this dot looks like it should be darker like its neighbors, and this one should be lighter. You'd slowly, step by step, clean up the noise until a clear image appears. This is basically how a lot of modern AI image generators work. They start with pure random noise, and then they slowly de-noises it step by step, following instructions they learned from looking at millions of real images. But remember, our accountant, the GPU, to do this, it has to do a mind-boggling number of calculations every single step for every single dot. What is the exact probability that this dot should be this shade of gray given all the other dots? It's kind of like a math nightmare. It's incredibly Now, what about Extropic's chip, the TSU, the Zen master? It's made for this. It's built from noise. Randomness is its native language. They built a grid of their magic coins, their pits, and they used a clever algorithm called Gibbs sampling. It sounds complicated, but it's like a game of telephone. Imagine each p-bit is a person in a huge crowd, and each person can only see the people standing right next to them, who give them a simple rule: try to agree with your neighbors. So, one pit looks at its neighbors, and if most of them are heads, it increases its own chance of being heads. If most are tails, it leans towards tails. It's not a command. It's not a suggestion. It's just simply a nudge. And here is the beautiful part. You don't actually need a boss. You don't need a central commander telling everyone what to do. The entire crowd, just by following this one simple local rule, will very quickly settle into stable pattern. And that pattern is the answer. The pattern is the denoised image. The p-bits aren't calculating probabilities. They're the probabilities. They just naturally physically settle into the most likely answer. They find the lowest energy state, like a ball rolling to the bottom of a valley. It doesn't need a map. It just rolls. And that's why it's so efficient. There's no frantic accountant running around. There's just a crowd of coins all talking to their neighbors and letting the answer emerge from the chaos. The communication is all local, which uses almost no power. The randomness is free, a gift from the universe. They ran a simulation of this process. They taught it to generate a simple tiny black and white pictures of clothes, t-shirts, shoes, and bags. And they compared the energy their simulated chip would use versus the energy of a real top-of-the-line GPU uses to do a task. And the result is 10,000 times less energy. The bomb had dropped. Okay, so you might want to take a breath, because right now you're probably thinking two things. Either this is the greatest invention in human history, or this sounds way too good to be true. And the answer is, it's a bit of both. This is the reality check. This is where we have to be grown-ups. The people at Extropic, they're not snake or salesmen. They're serious scientists. They've published their work. They've even released their software so other people could check their math. And another independent researcher already did and said, yep, their math checks out. But, and this is a big but, that 10,000 times number, it came from a simulation on a very, very simple problem. Those pictures of clothes were tiny. It's not creating a photorealistic image from an astronaut riding a unicorn on Mars. It's like you have a rookie baseball player and in the batting cage with a pitching machine. He hits the ball so hard, so fast, that it breaks the sound barrier. You've never seen anything like it. And you know for a fact that this kid has power that nobody else has. That's what Extropic has shown. They've proven that the power exists. But that's not the same as playing in the World Series. It's not the same as facing a real-life pitcher with a cheering crowd under pressure. They have built a real physical test chip. It's called the XTRO. It's a development kit that they've already sent to some of their partners, and it's real. These magic coins are real. But it's a test chip. It's the equivalent of the Wright brothers' first flyer. It proved we could fly, but it couldn't carry passengers across the ocean. The bigger, more powerful chips that could actually run the AIs we use today, those are still being designed. And the first one, called the Z1, is planned for next year. And there's also another catch. You can't just take an AI program that was written for a GPU and run it on an Extropic chip. The chips are fundamentally different. They speak different languages. The accountant can't do the Zen master job, and the Zen masters can't do the accountants. I'm still using analogies. Hopefully, it's not confusing. Now this means we need to invent new kind of AI programs like their DTM that are specifically designed for this new kind of computer. It's a whole field of research. It's like discovering a new kind of physics. There's a whole new world to explore. So, no, this isn't going to change the world tomorrow. Your phone in 2026 won't have a 30-year battery life. But the potential, oh, the potential. The kid in the batting cage just hit a ball that nobody thought was possible. Now the real work begins. Now, they have to train him, build a team around him, get him to the big leagues. So, let's dream for a minute. Let's say Extropic manages to do it. Let's say in 5 or even 10 years, these thermodynamic chips are real, they're powerful, and they're everywhere. What does that world look like? Well, first, the big scary energy crisis. It just vanishes. The wall we were racing towards crumbles. We can keep making AI smarter and smarter and smarter without having to build a country's worth of power plants. The brakes are off. Humanity can floor the accelerator on AI development. So, what does this mean for you? Well, it means the super intelligent AI that lives only in a billion-dollar data center could one day be in your phone or your car or your glasses and not be a dumbed-down version. The real thing, an AI that knows you, can help you think, create, and learn all day long without ever draining your battery. Imagine a doctor in a remote village with a handheld device that has all the medical knowledge of humanity inside it, able to diagnose rare diseases by just listening to someone's symptoms. It's not possible when the device needs to be connected to a power-hungry factory 1,000 miles away. But with a chip that sips energy, it's possible. Imagine scientists being able to simulate how new drugs will work inside of a human body, or how materials will behave under extreme stress. These are problems of probability, of finding the most likely outcome from trillions of possibilities. It's what these chips are born to do. They could help us cure diseases and build things we can't even think of today. And it might even change the nature of AI itself. AI today is very mathematical heavy. It's like a calculator. It's just a very big one. It's a computer that thinks in probabilities and embraces randomness. It might lead to an AI that's more intuitive, more creative, more like a human brain, less like an accountant, and more like an artist. This is the future that Extropic is trying to build, a future of abundant, efficient, democratized intelligence. It's a huge gamble. They're trying to reinvent the computer from the ground up. They're challenging 50 years of history and hundreds of billions of dollars of investment. The big guys, the companies that make the GPUs, they're not going to stand still. They're working on also making their own chips more efficient, too, but they still are polishing the horse-around carriage. Extropic is trying to build a spaceship. So, we're at a crossroads, a turning point in history. Down one path. AI becomes a luxury, a power-hungry beast that strains our planet and is controlled by a few giant corporations. Down the other path, the one that Extropic and others like them are trying to blaze, air becomes like the air we breathe, effortless and a tool that can lift up all of humanity now. The story is just beginning. The magic coins are real and they're starting to flip, and every flip is another step into the future that just last month we didn't know was even possible. Artificial intelligence is eating the world. Companies and nations alike are in a race to